The Coen brothers may not be directing together anymore, but there are still filmmakers out there that are evoking their influences at their most simple level. Recently, Yellow Veil Pictures unleashed their third title as one of Vinegar Syndrome's partner labels, and that title is Blood on Her Name. The movie is from 2019 and is directed by Matthew Pope. Blood on Her Name, at its core, is a very complex film about a mother trying to maintain status quo in an already upheaved life for her child. Blood on Her Name may have been released in 2019, but it feels like a film that would have been released around the early 90s. It is a sort of neo-noir dramatic thriller that has a lot of unique edges to it. The basic premise of the film is about a woman trying to hide a dead body. Now, that may sound like a spoiler, but that already happened before the beginning of the film. The first 8 minutes are basically devoid of all dialogue, and what it shows is a woman frantically trying to find out what her next steps should be. On its surface, this movie is about a woman trying to hide a dead body to cover up her tracks for when she lost control and there was an accidental death. Now, it goes a lot deeper than that because of the troubled history of this entire family. To lay out the family dynamic here, there is our main character who is running an auto body shop. She has a young teenage son who is currently seeing a parole officer for having some trouble in the past because he was being bullied for his father, who is now in prison, and that has obviously had a stark impact on this child. But then it is all held together by our main character's father, who is a corrupt sheriff in this very small town. This corrupt sheriff is played by none other than Will Patton, one of the coaches from Remember the Titans, and he delivers a really great performance as a just middle of nowhere, on the verge of retirement corrupt cop that has a shady past and, as we'll find out, a shady present as well. Now, as the film develops, you find out that his shady past has actually colored a lot of the actions that are taken out in this film. Our main character is trying to handle day-to-day life while knowing that she has this massive sin on her hands. Now, when I said that this is what the story is about on its surface, it's because there's a lot to discover when you start diving into these corruptions that happened in the past. Our main character is visited by a flashback of her former self in multiple instances, and she relives key traumatic moments from her life that shaped the way that she's thinking. You find out through a series of events that she has witnessed things like this in the past from her father, and now, based on that, she does not want to do anything like him. However, she knows that it has colored her intentions. Now, unfortunately, she feels as if she is in a desperate situation, which a lot of people in that situation would feel, but overall, the movie is resolved in a way that is satisfying and unique in a lot of ways, but also inevitable. The deeper side of this film, though, is what it really starts to uncover surrounding abuse and trauma. Now, that is going to sound off-putting to some people, and it doesn't really dive into it on the surface, but the flashbacks that the main character goes through, it shows her at different ages and how those things that happen to her are affecting her day-to-day decisions now that she's going through this process. The way this is filmed is sort of surreal and in a way delivered in a supernatural sense, and it doesn't necessarily come off as a ghost, but there's actual interaction between our main character and her flashback, which is such a unique idea that it really succeeds here. The main character herself is acting her ass off in those scenes, and it works with the story so well that it's fully believable. Now, obviously, abuse is a very cyclical idea. There are certain things that if they happen to somebody as a child or, in their formative years, it continues to happen. Our main character has been facing that throughout, but on top of that, as I said earlier, she also has a teenage son with a father who is in prison, and now he is possibly going to be going into those formative years with something marring his life. It is the mother's thought that she has all of this on her conscience and trying to break that cycle of abuse in any way possible. Unfortunately, that clouds a lot of her decisions. Now, perhaps I read a little too much into the story, but the idea of abuse and trauma and these situations just clouding generations to come, especially in these smaller towns, it really seemed like this perfect allegory for poverty and for overall abuse and society classism and everything else that goes with those things that are nearly impossible to break. And I say that from the sense of achievement for myself, because I came from a small town that a lot of people call quicksand because it's so difficult to leave. And feeling this while watching this and having it resonate with me, I hope others can view this film and just soak it in. And if they're feeling hopelessness or stuck in a rut or stuck in a cycle that they have no control over, that they can realize that their decisions and their actions can genuinely affect the way that they live the rest of their life. Blood on Her Name is a brisk film. It is under 85 minutes, which is one of my favorite things about it. And that's not a negative thing. I just like movies on the shorter end. The film itself is very well made, with a few key roles that actually show superb acting abilities. Our main character, one of the employees at the auto body shop, and her father, played by Will Patton, all deliver powerhouse performances in this fairly benign drama, because not a lot really happens. It is a lot of acting through dialogue. And then, of course, the third act is going to have to wrap up some of the intensity. But overall, there's a lot to just discover along the way. And that's why I'm being a little bit coy about some of the key points in this film. Now, if you were looking to get this movie, you can get it currently on the Vinegar Syndrome website with the slipcover. Yellow Veil Pictures is appearing to be just a really great partner label, so this would be a great time to get started with theirs. They've now put out 3 titles, including this one, and they don't appear to be slowing down anytime soon. They're doing great work. As you can see from the picture here, there are quite a few special features. We have a commentary with the crew, commentary with the cast and crew. There's a proof of concept, which is basically a little short film. There is a cast and crew in conversation, which is almost a half-hour long. I believe it was done over Zoom, something like that. There's a theatrical trailer, teaser trailer, and then there is a very good booklet on the inside of this that is done by Walter Cha, and it goes into great detail about the film, and it's just very well put together. Blood on Her Name, in my opinion, is influenced by a lot of key films that came before it, and one of them is one that I'm going to pair with it tonight, but it does not shade necessarily the achievements of this film. There's really good directing. Some of the cinematography is better than it really needs to be. And the setting, it feels just very authentic. It feels like small town America, probably somewhere in the Bible Belt, and you can feel that. You can feel the hum of the locust. You can feel the heat that is in the air, the humidity sticking to their bodies as they ponder these decisions. The movie just sails by, and by the end, you feel like you were a part of that town, and you empathize with our character. One of the main reasons is because she's made to look like she's been beat up throughout the entire film. However, you've seen her struggle with these decisions, and they feel more personal. Overall, based on my completely suggestive opinion here, I would give this film about 3.5 wrenches out of 5. It is acted very well, it is directed very well, some of the cinematography is above average. There are a lot of things that are lacking. There are a couple of the performances that definitely feel second rate, but overall, very good movie, something that I think more people need to see. And because they're a partner label of Vinegar Syndrome, hopefully Yellow Veil Pictures is able to get this film into the hands of a lot more people. As for the perfect pairing for this one, I obviously already alluded to the Coen brothers, and this one I think is important because it is very influential on Blood on Her Name, and that is Blood Simple. Blood Simple is a beautiful film from the Coen brothers that not enough people have seen. Obviously, the Coen brothers are very well known, but as one of their earlier works, I think it is one that's overlooked by some of their more popular titles, like The Big Lebowski and obviously No Country for Old Men. But Blood Simple would go well with this one because it is also about somebody struggling with tough decisions. It is also about trying to hide from murder. It is about somebody that is trying to overcome these actions that could very well influence the life that they are leading for the rest of time. And that is Blood on Her Name. I genuinely hope you enjoyed that. If you did, please give a like below. If you haven't, please consider subscribing. I put out reviews like this usually every Monday or so, and then I try to put out another video also on Wednesdays and Fridays. I do a couple live shows every week. I'm throwing out content for everyone. And if you're enjoying it, I also have a Patreon that's linked below in the description. Come on over, I have exclusive content there, we have conversations on our Discord, and I even do monthly giveaways for those that are supporting at the VIP tier. So thank you for all your time, thank you for giving it a watch, and as I always say, from one collector to all of you, have a good night.